watch it. Obviously, Catherine Burnell went on Phil's stream yesterday. I don't know if you were aware from yesterday. Catherine Burnell went on, like his wife went on the stream, and I've got a couple of things I need to say. One thing I really want to say, is that I don't think we should be fat shaming the woman, really. I say we, everyone's going to do what they want on the internet. They're all going to do what they want on the internet, right? I don't feel like fat shaming her is like a priority to me. I don't want to get flack from the detractors either. Big ups JJ Ken, yeah, she doesn't seem happy, does she? But you got to remember, Catherine as well, from what I understand, from what her sister said, is a high-functioning autistic lady. So she might be quite happy going to work, eating DoorDash, playing video games, and like she might not be as depressed as we think. But I also think it is symptomatic. Like she might look in the mirror and not be happy with herself, and be in a bit of a situation. But she's married as well, and feel like, we don't know what's been going on behind the scenes. That music's too much for me. We don't know what's been going on behind the scenes, really. But he might... I think a few months ago, there was like some sort of behind-the-scenes issue with someone's health. Maybe it was hers. Maybe it was a family member. Maybe she was depressed and she's been talking about it and seeing someone and he's trying to... Because a lot of the time on his streams, he's like, my lovely wife. I love my wife. My wonderful wife. And looking at people in video games, like sometimes the sexy people in the video games, he's like, sexy people. Oh, I'm not having that. I'm not even interested in sexy people. And I think there might be an element of like him trying to project to his wife the idea that, oh no, I love you, it's not that you might put on a few extra pounds, but I don't care, I just, you're perfect to me. But actually the truth is that it's unhealthy at a certain point, like with Foodie Beauty and the others. Like, I'm not here on the internet critiquing someone for putting on a few pounds for a few years. Like in a marriage over a 5-year period, putting on a bit of weight, that's not like an issue. But it's just not. It's a non-issue. But putting on obesity levels of weight, getting unhealthy, living in an unhealthy routine that's turned you from someone that all of your life has been relatively slim to now being something quite different. And here's a point I'd like to highlight as well, actually, about this, if I may. Where would it go under replies or posts? I retweeted her sister. Now, her sister's having a bit of a hard time herself in her life, right? Her sister is having a bit of a time. Look, this is a repost that I made. DSP ruins everything. Like, that's what she used to be when she moved in 5 years ago with Darksydephil, sort of thing. It's quite a it's quite a change. It's quite a change. And so Snow Jenner is her sister, and she's tweeted, "My sis got fat as fuck, lol. She act like I don't even exist. Fuck her." So, like, they're all on it. They're all on it. Dabby tweeted, "I actually feel bad for Kat." And Kat's sister tweeted, "I don't." So, it's a fucking, it's one of them, isn't it? It's just what's happened. So, like, the facts are the facts. I understand. And for me personally as well, I was shocked. I haven't seen Kat in a few years because Phil keeps her off the streams. He's took her off the internet. Effectively, it might be her choice because of trolling, or it might be his choice because he don't want trolling. But effectively, she used to have her own channel. She used to be a Twitch streamer. She used to have her own stream before she met Phil. And, and she looked like she used to, and then she met Phil. He took her off the internet. Well, they say he took her off. Maybe she took herself off. She came off the internet. She didn't have a Twitter anymore. She didn't have a Twitch. She gone. And then you see her 5 years later, and she's like completely changed. Also, the hair, is a big change. And I know they go to this hairdressers called Curls and Twirls, and I think, my guess, because I'm, former hairdresser, my guess is that she, my guess is that, I'm having to turn that down in the background. My guess is that they go and they get it done on, like, they go and get it done on what do you call it? They go and get it done on trainee night, I think. That's what I think. I think they go and get it done on trainee night. I'm just trying to tweet that I'm live on the old Twitch. My channel, yeah, thanks. Copy that. Shut up, me. Paste that. and then post it in here. I'm not making a big deal of that tonight because, like I said, I haven't got really a big thing to do tonight. But the Mimp Squad, fine super chuffer, you know, just here on a chat, paste. Just here having a chat. She may have no self-esteem, or she may not really worry too much. I mean, she said she didn't care anymore in the process. Like, she was on the stream and they were talking. She said she didn't care about trolls anymore. She don't care. So what if I put on a bit of weight? Like, it looks like they'd had a chat about it. But a lot of it is like she'll like Phil drums something into you, and then like you parrot it back a bit the way the Alan does to his spanners. Like, she reflects the way Alan and his spanners work. Like, Phil drums it into her and she parrots it back later. And like, you could hear a lot of the things she was saying were things that sort of Phil has sort of, you know, the way the narcissists and the weird people, they, instead of seeing it for what it is and saying it for what it is, they'll like dress it up and change the words and make it seem different and make it seem better. And like, you know, she sort of parroted back a lot of the ideas he was talking about. There was one pretty sad moment for me, which is when she said, when he said, someone asked a question, and it was the question was basically someone asked the question, and the question was basically talk about something other than video games, and she was like she didn't really have anything other than video games to talk about. Like, she was like, I go to work, I play the video games, I eat my dinner, and that's it. Like, it was a bit sad, but like, it might be all right for her. Like, she might not be unhappy with it, but I guess, like I was saying, the main thing I've got to talk about or say about it, and it's not a big deal, I just wanted to get it out, said it, you know, everyone here said it, can always say, go back to this channel, check where I said it, you're not getting me on this, is, I don't think it's really fair to sort of go on. I mean, initially I was shocked, so I did my reaction, put it on the internet, but I don't think it's fair to be hammering her on her weight. Like, even if she is overweight, like, it makes it worse to hammer women in public about their weight for the women who are overweight. Like, honestly, it's not a good thing, is it? Yeah, she's not the grifter. I don't detract his wife. Good shout, Rain Gods. Like, and to be honest, a great number of detractors have come with the same energy. You know, that they not like. We don't hate Kat. We don't. Nobody has like nasty things to say about Kat. They take the piss out of her to get to Phil a lot, and they take the piss out of her because things are being taken the piss out of in a big way, and then, you know, she's there. But I think, you know, some of them are a little bit naive to, I mean, some of them are not naive to this, some of them are just quite happy to call people fat in public or whatever, but I'm not. You know, even if someone is struggling with their weight, I just think it's a real bad look for the person that's calling them fat in public and going, oh, you're fat, oh, your wife's fat, oh, you're fat. Like, that's not a good look. The problem with it in this context is that there is this backstory of her arriving at his house totally different, and ending up quite different. And I'm not going to find that tweet again now, am I, with the picture of her from the past? But you know, she looked quite different in the past, and things have gone the way they've gone, and people are going to use it to sort of accuse and batter Phil and say, like, if you live with Phil, this is what happens to you because you get depressed and he feeds you up. And like, this is a great example of it. I seen DoorDash commit a murder. Like, the joke is that she used to be quite slim and now she's not, and it's simply because she's lived with Phil, and we know what Phil's lifestyle is like, so it's been put into this context, you know. And without that context, it looks like the internet has suddenly just erupted to fat shame a lady who came on stream with her husband. But it's not just that simple, you know. It's not. And you've got to be fair. If the last time you see someone they look like this, and then the next time you see them they look like this, you're going to be real and say, hey, this is shocking to me. Like, it's starting to look like unhealthy, whatever's going on in your routine and lifestyle. I want to talk about the hair as well. It could be medical. It could be. So yeah, exactly, again. But I think Phil would come out ahead of that and say, she's got this medical issue. It's making her look like this. You can't take the piss. The haircut's not medical, though. And whilst it's cute in some ways, because she's filled out in this part of her face here, it doesn't, like, for me, it doesn't suit the, just quickly, face shape, let's say pear face shape hairstyles. Like what we're trying to do when, like if you've got a big part of your face here, we're trying to balance it here or cut it off here. Like if your head, the perfect face shape is like a heart or an oval, like a balanced face shape. Like the heart shape is quite attractive to the Western audience. So what they tend to do is, if you've got an imbalance in your face in other places, you shape it into a heart shape using the hair. Yeah. So like they're actually saying that this might. Hang on. I feel like this hairstyle is accentuating her jaw in some way, basically. Look, strong jawbone, smaller forehead. Yeah. So these hairstyles are sitting down around below the jawbone. This was actually covering the jawbone in part of it. Like you do want to part it and reveal the face at the top, but I also think you want to frame it, bring like some shape around it. I personally believe that her hairstyle is working against her face shape a little way, just instinctively as a hairdresser. I just think it's not quite, helping. And I think part of the reason that she's got this haircut, in a way, is because they go to this place called, I wanted to get this off my chest. They go to this hairdressers called Curls and Twirls, and Curls and Twirls does, in my opinion, a bad job on Phil's hair. But in my opinion, it looks like the trainee's doing it. So fair enough, you got to learn. And when you do learn, she might be going back quite regularly, and they might be saying, well, let's cut it a bit shorter, let's try this style, let's do this. Like the only step that she can't do here is anything longer, can she? Because it's got to grow out. She's also been dyeing it a lot, quite heavily, and now it's very dark, this colour. It's dark dyed, I can tell, over the top of something red and something with more colour in it. And like, you got to let that grow out. Like, it might be that her hair got so damaged through dyeing that they'd cut short because they do a lot of work on the hair at this salon. I think Twirls and Curls are overdoing the hairdoing, and I think she needs to chill, let it grow out a bit, let that root regrowth come through, not immediately dye it and stuff, let the healthy hair grow through, get rid of some of this darker stuff. The cut's good, like the cut and the styling is actually quite good on her, but this lower part of the jaw here, like, in a way, I want to sort of cover up. Actually, I'll do it here like this. Look, I actually think if I cover up this, Kat's looking quite cute. Like, maybe it's my opinion and my taste, or whatever. But like, I think her makeup is actually on point here. Like, they used to diss Kat for wearing quite heavy makeup sometimes, and maybe it didn't suit her as much because she had quite a delicate face when she was slimmer. But now she's got a bit more of a, going on her face. Like, the makeup's got space to sit and the contour works because there's like more to contour, and I actually think she's doing a good job of the makeup and the eye makeup and all that. And I don't think it's right to be like on the internet fat shaming someone just out of general principle, but you've got to understand, like I said, that this lady definitely looked a lot healthier a few years ago when she had just met Phil. Like, that's her sitting on his sofa in the same room, just like, 5 years ago? And people do put on weight over time, but you can see why the audience for Darksydephil content is shocked, surprised, and is basically, saying things as they see them. It's a very interesting case study as well in 2024 about how people react to a lady putting on weight. Because there is a huge element of like misogyny and, overtones there about let's all critique a lady for putting on weight. But as I said, it's not just, here is a lady, she has put on some weight, now go at her. It's not that. It's also a case of 5 years of living with Darksydephil has transformed this woman into something unrecognisable, and people are quite surprised. Big up Snips, you watched a few minutes of the stream together. I hope the message the misogynist making fun of her took home is that relationship is more than just how hot your girlfriend is. It's about connection and not being a trophy for someone. I see, this is the thing. On the surface, I will agree with that. But the problem is that, in a way, I wonder whether Phil and her actually do have a really good connection, because they're both so strangely like asexual toward each other. They have a very strange manner about, and he has a strange manner about her, and it goes deeper than just the surface level, right? But so in some ways I kind of agree. The other problem I have though is that I worry that they don't have a deep connection, and that she went, because she moved in with Phil after being in an abusive relate to her from Phil's side of it. She got a restraining order against the previous partner. She moved in with Phil, straight out of that relationship in with Phil. Phil was also single, having recently broke up with his previous relationship, and like he's accidentally called her mom several times on stream. You know, he's accidentally said, "Oh, my mom did me some really nice dinner earlier," and stuff like that several times. So the accusation is leveled at Phil that this isn't actually a really deeply committed relationship where he loves her for who she is, regardless of how hot she is. What he actually wants is someone to live with him, do the chores, maybe pay some of the bills. She goes to work as well, like, you know, in a shop, in a jeans store in a mall. So like, she cooks his dinner, you know, she does the washing, maybe, you know, that sort of stuff. Maybe Phil wants, like, you know, some aspects of the relationship, and he's just playing along. And there's this, you get this sense, or most of the detractors get this sense of this sort of awkwardness between them, this sort of emotional awkwardness. And like, I always question, does Phil even have sex with her? Honestly, like, that vibe you get when you see them together is just so awkward. And I think she's a bit like, oh, but she has to put up with it sometimes. I think they both look after each other a little bit like a carer sometimes, but remember, Phil is the narcissist in the relationship, and she's very seemingly impressionable. Like, she seemed to say a lot of things that he'd sort of drummed into her last night. I don't know. Anyway, we're all talking about this on the detractor community, and as I said, I agree with what Snip. I think there's a very dangerous overtone of misogyny that's being simply accepted because it's the. I mean, let's be fair as well. Like, detracting is not simply a boys' club. It could be if we didn't address things like misogyny in the general community being accepted as a standard. And people do need reminding sometimes that, you know, it's not like, hey guys, welcome to the stream, guys. Okay then, guys, we're all guys here, guys. Let's make some jokes about the ladies because, you know, the wives are out and it's time for the show. It's not all that in detractor world. It's a broad range of people, so that's going to include women. And we need to make sure that we do include women in the way we think and talk on streams, and not be ignorant of the fact that they are actually there watching and in the chat. They're probably a very happy couple. She seems very nice. That's a naivety in not knowing the backstory, I'm afraid, unless you really know the backstory. They don't. She seems very nice, yes, but a very happy couple. Oh, I don't know. Like, when you get into the deepness of what Darksydephil is and does, and like when you know Phil, like the detractors know him, that seems like a statement that can't really be real. But yeah, so I want to put this on YouTube. You know, I want to make this clear as well. I'm not calling out any particular YouTubers. I'm not pointing the finger at any detractors and saying, you stupid misogynists. And I bet there are a bunch of people in the detractor world and on Kiwi farms who are actually quite happy being misogynists. And some of them seem quite happy being like very hard right-wing people, or, you know, whatever. People are sometimes on the edges of what's socially acceptable these days, aren't they? So there are going to be some people who disagree with me, of course, but I do want to, for me, you know, this is one of those, for me, I don't want to make a big kerfuffle in the detractor community. I'm going to be enjoying the content later and watching them, and sometimes I'm going to be cringing at the fat shaming, I'll tell you that, and other times I'm going to be laughing at the astute observations. But for me, you know, because I talk about these things and, you know, they're going to be talked about, for me, I felt after last night's content, this was in my mind to say first thing when I jumped on. So it is first thing when I jumped on. And like I say, I'm not pointing the finger at someone and saying, oh, this other content creator's a fat shamer and this other content creator's a misogynist. It's a subtext and undertone to conversation on the internet generally, isn't it? The patriarchy exists in our society, and sometimes there are examples of it that bubble up and people don't necessarily realise when they're crossing certain lines a bit, because it's all, whoa, I haven't seen her for 5 years and she's different. So, like, you know, we'll be a bit balanced. We'll be a bit balanced on that over here. The detractors not have any partners. No, loads of them do have partners. That's, you know, again, the detractors are a wide and varied group. Like, a lot of them are ladies. So, like, a lot of them are married. Like, a lot of them are very different, you know, imagine society. They're people from society. So I'm not going to do that. I'm a detractor in some context. I'm not going to do the make the mistake of painting out a group of people to be all the same and stereotype them, because that's the exact sort of thing that I'm sort of talking about not doing to, I don't know, fat ladies, maybe. So people are just mean, they say anything for cheap laughs, a bit, yeah. But also, like I said, this is a huge shock to people. Like, it is not... Like, if you knew someone in real life and they went from basically, like, I don't want to say stick thin or anything like that, but like, you know, like that's a huge change. And you'd see them for the first time in a while and you'd be like, oh my God, look, your hair's different. Other things are different. Like, you know, and you'd be hopefully diplomatic about the way you talk about it, but like, it's a huge change. People are rightfully and naturally shocked. And when you add in the context of Phil's behaviour behind the scenes over the last 4 or 5 years, like, there's a lot more subtext to it than just, well, she settled into a marriage and put on a few pounds. Like, there's a lot more subtext to it. So people are going to talk, and people are going to make crude jokes, and people are going to cross lines, in my opinion. And in other people's opinions, I'm being silly to even state that there should be lines. So, but we are in 2024, and fat shaming women on general principle is a bit of a, you know, negative, isn't it? On this other side of the coin, if someone becomes morbidly obese and it's dangerous to their own health, we shouldn't necessarily celebrate it and put them on a billboard and say, right, let's have them as the next bikini model. Like, that's not necessarily a good idea either. So, like, I don't know anything about sizes. I mean, like I said, I see what's going on in chat here as well. I'm really aware as well, my audience is different to the average detractor's audience. Snippies, they themselves might not be fine specimens, no, but as I said, it's not necessarily you know, it's sort of who are you to talk situation. If you've been making social commentary on Darksydephil and his life over the last 5 or 10 years, or even 2 years, or, you know, 2 videos or whatever, and this happens, it's a big change. So it's not really about any of us, it's about what we're perceiving on the screen in front of us. So I can see why they're not considering their own situations when they're making comment on this. Like, as I say as well, I can see that I've got a very different demographic in my audience, right? And I think that no, I'm not judging their whole life and relationship on it. I'm making this comment instead, yeah. And I think it's really important to note that I agree that, for example, you could, over a period of 5 years, as you age or whatever, like, you know, you might put on some weight, especially if you're married and in a comfortable situation, and, you know, your husband's bringing you DoorDash every weekend. Like, you know, it can happen, and it's not like, oh my God, you've changed and it's awful. Like, you know, it's just a thing, isn't it? So I started this, like I say, by saying I'm not into fat shaming someone simply for putting on a few pounds. I see lots of angles and perspectives here, and I want to be critically clear about my angle and perspective, which is that I think, as I said, I'm not going to be fat shaming someone for putting on a few pounds. It's not even an issue. But her lifestyle and change over these years is a big talking point in the detractor community today, and it will continue to be. I'm just scrolling down my Twitter, which is a mess. My Twitter, look, I'm not anti-trans. Okay, look, I'm not anti-trans, but people are posting that shit. I'm following it. I'm interested in it, stories and stuff. I also don't play Toy Story games, so don't worry, you know. So I shouldn't be scrolling my Twitter, actually. That's a mistake. But I was just looking for some more of these, you know, sort of posts and stuff. Like the comment here sums it up. Why does anyone who moves in with DSP end up like this? And it all looks so insanely awkward. That's the summing up, really. So there you go. And it's not, I don't agree anyone who moves in with him, because Pandali managed to escape. But like, yeah, like this has not gone well for Darksydephil and his wife in the terms of public perception as to what's been going on for the last 5 years from the perspective of the detractors. I'm not fat shaming. I'm not going to embark on that, and I'm not going to, what's the word? You know, tacitly support it or whatever. But you'll see me in the comments, and you'll see me in the chats, and you'll see me in the That Being Said podcast, you know, having a laugh with my friends, and you'll see them saying some pretty choice things, and, you know, I have to let that go by and not sort of try and change everyone's opinion on, like, everyone knows about, or should be grown up enough to have learned and know about, like, misogyny and the patriarchy and, you know, fat shaming on the internet, shouldn't they? Or is it just that we grew up through the 90s and 2010s when photoshopping images on magazines was a big issue, and, you know, eating problems came from people's perceptions of what models should be like, and supermodels and skinny, you know, maybe we lived through a particular time and we have more worldview on that because it was happening all around us and talked about in the media. I don't know. Unless you don't view adult women as being capable of making their own decisions. I kind of do, but you also understand that Phil's an Phil's a manipulative narcissist who we feel as the community has manipulated Catherine's decisions. Like, it almost feels in some way like he's got her in and now he doesn't want her to leave. So he's maybe, you know, done things like fed her up and made her less, you know, got her right settled. I don't know. You know, do you see what I'm saying though? Like, there's all these, this is all the conversations that are going to be had about the whole situation. These are the subtexts and the undertones, which are okay to talk about. Because she's in some way slightly vulnerable to his charms by merit of being, from what I understand, from her sister, high functioning autistic in some way. You know, there's those questions. So that's what it is. I want to cut that for YouTube, and I want it to go out there and just be like, you know, a note on the Catherine Burnell weight situation, and just so that I'm clear with my audience and where I stand. And, you know, I dropped a video yesterday. I watched the reactions. I was shocked. I didn't make any big fat comment and joke, but I'm shocked. And then I was sort of stumped for words. But I know how I feel on, you know, sleeping on it. I know how I feel is that I'm not naive to the idea that simply putting, I've said it enough now, I'm repeating myself, but I'm not naive to the idea that simply putting on a few pounds in a marriage is something that if we were to go on the internet and fat shame someone for, it's the people that are doing the fat shaming that are doing the wrong thing there. They're the ones that look bad. But at the same token, like, she could be in a much healthier situation and she's not, and people are going to be surprised and comment about it. So that's going to go off in the detractor community for the next couple of weeks. And it's interesting that it happens, you know, it's interesting, yeah. So there you go. And I will agree with that final comment from JJ Kane on this topic. She is lovely, yeah. No one's got anything against Kat. No one's angry with Kat. No one's angry with Kat. No one ever has been. They feel like, you know, if anything, a bit sorry for her. People were wondering whether she might have left him a few months ago. Because again, 4 years, 5 years of keeping her out of the public eye, not having a Twitter, not having a Facebook, not having a YouTube, not having her own stream account. That pictures of her streaming when she used to stream. That's stopped now. So, yeah. The general consensus amongst the detractors is they hope for the best for Kat. So if you might hear a few, you know, choice words here and there in the coming weeks, that's also a given amongst the majority, I would believe. But I don't speak for the majority. I don't speak for anyone. I just speak for me. That's what detracting's like. You know, we're not all one big homogenous gloop that goes around doing things on the internet. It's a load of people with a load of different ideas. And that's the internet. So you're welcome to it. I enjoy it. Yeah, illness, interesting concept. You know, it's not been brought up or talked about. I would have thought Phil would have said, if that were the case, that's why. No, as a sort of excuse, but it's not been talked about. You're right. I said we were going to have a last word, but she clearly made an effort for the stream. Yeah. Bear in mind, like, she used to make this effort for the streams in the past as well. Like, that's what her makeup look is. That I'm scrolling through my Twitter now and it's a bad move again, like I said. But that is her look. Like, this is her in the past. On the left here, I'm covering it up, sorry. But in the past, she's still got that similar sort of makeup look. That's Kat. That's who she is. The only difference from what we can really see is the weight, really, and the haircut. Like, you know, she's always been, in my opinion, like, good at, well, some people thought it was quite heavy and it looked interesting or whatever, but I thought, you know, she's got a makeup look. Yeah. So bear in mind as well, right, there are some detractors who have made, you know, paid homage to Kat, made face swaps with sexy ladies, and, you know, there are some detractors who think she's quite nice. It's not all just, like, no one's being really horrible and negative to her. It's just the talking point is, after 5 years, she's come back on the stream after 5 years, and she looks very different to how she used to. And that has lots of different perspectives and opinions. There you go. I'm going to cut that for YouTube. I'm obviously going to stay on stream now. I'm just going to grab myself a drink. I'm going to say for YouTube, you be good, my little puckos. If you can't be good, you're naughty. And if you've got an opinion, put it in the comments. Have a good talk about it. I really am not trying to just cause any ripples amongst the detractor community here. This is not a detractor civil war. I like listening to other people's opinions and hearing their ideas. Those are mine. I respect yours. You be good, my little puckos. And if you can't be good, you're naughty. Okay. I've said that. I need a drink. I haven't got a bottle of drink for the stream tonight. And like I said, I really want to watch that being said, because you know what I mean? This is a big thing that's happened, and it's on in 40 minutes. So it's quite likely that tonight's stream, I just watch that being said with us. And I don't want to keep commenting on it while I'm watching it. I just want to play video games and listen to it. So that might be what I'm doing. I could just sign off and, you know, just do it offline, but I'm online now, and you know, this is how we roll. I'm also waiting for the video processing on Angry Alan's TikTok episode. I did a cool thumbnail for that. I thought of, I'll show you the thumbnail, hang on. This will be funny. I'll get my drink, I'll show you the thumbnail, we'll carry on talking. And, yeah. Oosh. Oosh. This is all as well. I should have said this, but I forgot to say it. But by the way, it doesn't need to be in that video that I just will cut. Darksydephil is going to be doing a doc. We watched that Boogie documentary the other night. That was funny. That was all. All the monetization for that video goes to the several different people who put the music for the documentary. Not that I care. It's about doing the content, not whether I get £10 off the monetization. The point I was going to make was, there's a documentary being made about Darksydephil behind the scenes at the moment. It's going to be made. During that process, Catherine will be. She will be exposed to the stream. Like, she will be on the documentary. She will end up on YouTube again. So I think Mike has talked to Phil and said, and they've talked about it as a group, and Phil has said, I don't want my wife in the documentary, and Mike has said, well, she's part of your life, and like, you know, what's she doing not being in the documentary? And Phil has explained she was on stream before, people trolled her, we've never had her back, we took her off, and Mike has said, oh, you don't have to worry about that, you'll be better off putting her on the stream. Why don't you do a stream with her, and if it goes badly, you can take her off again and you can delete it. But you know, I think it's a good idea, and we'll get it, you know, I think Mike's been in his ear, like, you know, pushing the idea. And I think that Phil, instead of waiting till Mike does a documentary on him and it comes out on the internet and then everyone reacts, I think he'd rather do this now so that what Kat looks like is not the big reaction feature mark of the documentary. Like, so he's got that in front. So in some ways as well, right, what's happening here, what's been happening there, is you've got to consider this, right? Catherine Burnell's best interests are not at everybody's top of their agenda. Like, Phil's not doing what's best for his wife. He's doing what's best for Phil. Like, it's not very good husband stuff. Like, doing a stream with her, like, because of positions, leverage, YouTube, whatever. Like, that's not, you know, you don't need, she's not an object that you, right, it's time to put her out in the public now because of X, Y, Z, you know what I mean? Like, Phil's behaviour there is pretty bad. And that's why when we first, I did, last night, I did the react. When we first did the react last night, I dropped the video. The first little bit of it was piece of peace and Alt. And Alt went, oh, Philip. And Piece of Peace went, she's fat. Piece of Peace is quite, hard on the old detracting. Like, there are a few detractors who are a bit more, I'd say, venomous maybe, or like they've been doing it for a long time. They've been saying things on the internet for a long time about Phil. The filter is completely, gone for some of them, yeah, in some ways. Or maybe they never had one and that's what made them popular in the first place. I don't know. But for Piece of Peace, it's a bit like that. There's a couple more who, they're not on my top of my list as like my favourites. I like the comedy aspects. I'm trying to listen to people make jokes and have fun. When it gets venomous and and bitter, and some people like get really ragey, I'm less into it maybe. I'm not critiquing Piece of Peace there or anything. That's just a general for me thing. Okay, like Piece of Peace is, I've listened to them as much as I've listened to any other detractor, I suppose. But my point being that I noticed that, Snippy, your comment, Piece of Peace made him, like, it made him look bad, and it was, like, seen as a negative, and certainly would be in my audience, right? And I get that, I see that. That's not my reaction, that's their reaction. And I left it in. I honestly thought I could edit that bit off at the very start, and then it don't have Piece of Peace saying, oh, she's fat, and then we don't have this conversation or anything. But I thought, I'm leaving it in because it's my honest reaction to my first time seeing her after this amount of time. Like, I have to leave that in. And the other thing is, Alt's reaction is very interesting because he's disappointed and sad. Like, he's not like, she's fat. He's like, oh, Phil, like, all this time people were concerned in lots of different ways, and it turned out their concerns were legitimate. Like, people had said they'd seen photographs of her and she looked unhealthy, and people had said, no, that can't be her, that can't be him with her, she's much she kind of put on that amount of weight. And overall, like, people are disappointed in the situation. For whether that's acceptable or not to you, I feel that I left it in because it showed a range of emotions as well, like, people's different feelings about it. And mine is of surprise, shock, and as I say, I am actually I'm not surprised, shocked. I knew that the detractor community around Darksydephil was going to lay into this as a topic, but I am a bit surprised that so many content creators maybe are short-sighted enough to just be like, ha, woman fat. Because in 2024, like, hello, ha, woman fat. But as I say, there's these deeper layers. And so with the detractor community, they're operating on those deeper layers. So it's not ha, woman fat, but it sounds like ha, woman fat. So there we go. I've said that as an extra. Maybe that goes on the video, maybe it doesn't. You be good, my little puckos. If you can't be good, you're naughty, in case I leave that on the video. Right, half an hour to that being said. And I haven't got any plan. I was going to listen to some Brian Cockrell,